Monday, September 30th. I'm not in class. I have a substitute today, so I'm going to go over today's slideshow in a little more detail than I normally do. So first off, check your email. From me, you should receive today's lesson plan, and also you should get some number 2 feedback. That formative check-in, you're either going to get a letter back to you that describes your score, or you're going to get a reminder from me that you didn't turn it in and you should do so. And then we'll review that when I come back on Tuesday. As for Amplifi, you're going to analyze and evaluate a final piece of evidence about the channel on Mars and determine that the claim flowing water formed channel is better supported by the given evidence. Students then evaluate what this means about the Mars system overall, considering the implications for the habitability on Mars. Notice which direction this is pointing you. We'll talk more about that before we write our final argument. But today, for the practice, make sure you've organized the evidence card and the evidence gradient. That may look very similar to 3.1. You may shift a few things around, you may not. And that you observe the rock samples for evidence. There are 2 types of rock samples at your table. That you update your claim based on evidence. If you need to change your claim, now's the time to do it. And that you use all the models in the unit to gather evidence. Don't just treat this one lesson at a time. Everything is still on the table to be used as evidence. So lesson plan, step by step. As I said in the beginning, number 1, check your email. Look for a feedback letter. If you didn't get a letter, then you should get a reminder to finish and turn in number 2. Move on to the next slide. And I say that because some of you are better off having this in writing in front of you and going through the slide step by step as you complete the lesson. And then we move on to 3.2, evaluating claims about the channel on Mars. And of course, step 1 is the warm-up. So answer the question in the warm-up. It will probably help to discuss it with others before you answer it to get a more thorough answer, and be sure to hand it in. After you're done with that, step 2, you're going to examine the rock types using the hand lenses. It's all there in the tubs. Notice there are 2 types of rocks. Refer to any cards at your table that give you information on these rock types. So there are cards that you got in 3.1 that tell you about the triangle landform and how rock types are formed. And so you want to answer the step 2 questions using that information and your observations about the rocks. Be sure to hand it in. Move on to step 3, which is a discussion. So use the evidence gradient to organize your evidence based on what you know. We've done this already once. Okay, you get a chance to revisit it and adjust your evidence cards as necessary. And then you, in the final step of this lesson, the next screen, they give you an evidence gradient online and they ask you to add card locations. I want you to look at the whiteboard in class on the right side. We've done this in class. What you need to do is click the plus symbol. Notice there's a trash can and a plus symbol right above your evidence gradient. And you can click a plus, and then you can add an annotation or a letter that represents the card where it is on the board on your desk. So first card, letter A, you're going to click an annotation, call it letter A, and drag it to where it would go on your screen, and do the same thing all the way through card F. And then be sure to hand it in. Step 4 is a teacher-led discussion. I'm not there with you, but you want to think about these questions and discuss them at your table. Observe the images that you see on your screen, and then hit next and hit step 5, which we always do in class. It's not actually homework. So share your thoughts on the question they give you in the homework about future exploration, and then hand that in and you will be all done. Our wall looks pretty much the same as it did in the previous lessons. There's one little question in the bottom right that's been added. But other than that, we are it's more about solidifying what we know at this point than adding new stuff. And that means we're almost done.